We understand her predicament.
Mm-hmm.
She's in a spot where if she loses out on this, she's going to lose a lot of her income. Although it seems like she has multiple streams, definitely, of income. Like, she's not hurting, but this will hurt her. But it takes me back again to Montgomery because they had to sacrifice. Like, to me, it's not an effective boycott if we go to Target just to buy your stuff. We're still paying Target.
Yeah.
And in the same breath, you know, how is that going to make actual change? Like, how are we going to actually make a huge impact if we're still walking
all
through
these
the doors?
exceptions.
Yeah, with exceptions. What's up, y'all? I'm Lauren.
And I'm Adrian.
And this is the Two Mics,
Two Glasses
podcast.
podcast, where two best friends discuss business ownership and life. What it do? What's up?
Getting them good. That song always reminds me of my one friend. I ain't gonna say her name.
Oh, a friend? Oh, no. This
But
reminds me of college.
Yes. So there was this one party at a specific home that we used to visit a lot because my best friend was dating some guys that lived there, and then all the girls would go there, and he had a bunch of guy roommates. And
Sounds
then they
like
would
a
throw
fraternity.
No, it wasn't a fraternity.
Okay.
It wasn't going down like that.
Okay.
Okay, no. But we would have fun together. We would throw parties. They would throw parties at the house, and one of my friends that used to come with us was the bartender, but she was like, I feel like she was making a drink and drinking a drink and then making a drink and drinking a drink. So she got super lit. Mm-hmm. And like, she's not normally a dancer.
Oh, man.
So she is a self-proclaimed not dancer. So I'm not coming for her dancing. But when this song came on, she was lit and she was like,
What it do? That liquor was making her having fun.
that song that's a good song.
Yeah, I
Good
feel like we all
times.
had those moments.
Yes.
That liquor
Hampton.
is flowing.
In the best
Back
ways.
then, it was a cheap liquor.
Oh.
We can't even drink it now. Like,
No.
it's like
Vodka,
rubbing alcohol.
Clear.
Oh my God, I was scarred.
Plastic bottles.
I was scarred for vodka for at least 7 years after college. I'm still scarred from ramen noodles.
I do not. Ramen noodles?
I have not have a cup of ramen noodles since I graduated from school.
Really? Well, it's probably for the best anyway.
There's so much salt in that. Ooh.
99 bananas.
Oh, man. Ugh.
What's another one? Goldschlager. I used to drink Goldschlager. That was like my college drink because it was gold in the bottle.
Uh-huh.
It tastes like
That was like a
cinnamon.
little upgraded.
Tastes like cinnamon.
I'm trying to remember what we had. We had, what was it? Pop-Off? P-O-P-O-V. It was a vodka. It was bad.
No.
All plastic bottles.
All
day.
plastic. I have Aristocrat.
Yeah. Jungle Juice.
Oh, do you remember those juice? Like, it was literally called juice, and it was like these big cans you would get at the gas station.
I got so sick off of that.
Because it's all sugar.
I can't even believe our bodies could tolerate those drinks.
Because then we were eating like Wendy's. We were not eating healthy. Oh my gosh. Oh, what great memories. What a great way to start off this episode.
And now to switch it up, we got to kind of,
levity.
I feel like our topic today is a little intense.
It's
very.
We got to go from the lights to the,
very black power.
We complex over here.
So what's our song?
Our song is "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Oh, you're not gonna
I don't know the rest. I'll just say it again. The revolution will not be televised.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised.
Will not be televised.
Not be televised.
Will not be televised.
I hear it in my head.
Black
Power. By Gil Scott-Heron. Yes.
So today we are talking about some trending topics happening in our community and in our nation. We got the Orange Man.
That's random things.
Who's in office.
Yep.
And it has, there's been a lot of cuts since he's came in office. Like, he did it in the first couple weeks, which was really crazy. But
it's been tiring.
Yeah, so cutting DEI. What else he been cutting?
He's tried to cut off a lot of federal funding for important programming. I mean, it seems like those things have been paused right now, but I think there's been such a huge attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion that has been kind of reverberating the most. Although I feel like it's quite the distraction from other things taking place. Like he's trying to tear down the Department of Education, and he's just attacking a lot of civil services that are positive things for most communities. Although they act like Black people are the ones who benefit from all of this, we're probably a smaller percentage of the people who actually benefit from the things that he's coming for.
I heard white women benefit the most from affirmative action
in DEI. It's the truth.
DEI.
Yeah. White women, and then I heard white men executives, potentially.
How are they even?
I don't know.
Well, before we get too deep into this topic, we need to prep ourselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I still can't drink.
So we will pretend this is going to give us a little extra buzz, but it's another zero alcohol one. This is Le Natural 00.
Is that your French accent?
Yeah. Le Natural.
Natural.
Zero.
Maybe that was Italian.
I don't know what the zero. The zero was not French, but let's see how this tastes. It's a red wine. Cheers.
The smell, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna drink it. Why does it smell like that?
It smells okay to me. You got it. You got pregnancy nose. It actually tastes okay. It's kind of sweet, actually.
I actually like it. It's like a Syrah.
Yeah, or like a Pinot Noir.
No, Pinot Noir was nasty.
Red blend.
It is like a red blend. Correct.
It's actually drinkable.
It's really good.
It's the best red one I've had so far.
Thus far.
No alcohol.
It's really good.
So yeah, I don't know how many calories, but almost everything else we've been drinking with zero alcohol has like almost no calories. So give it a try.
Indulge.
It a try. Link.
Take
in the
down the bottle.
Yes. This actually
It's pretty good.
We putting on ourselves and we putting on other people to these bottles.
For your dry journeys.
Maybe you'll do a dry 2026.
No, why would I do that? I did a dry 2024 at that. Or half dry. Mostly dry.
Wet or dry. We'll decide. One dry month, one. Anyway.
Adrian.
All right. Back to the topic at hand.
Yes. So, the country is definitely undergoing a lot of changes, and they're attacking a lot of programs that potentially that benefit everybody, honestly. I mean, we know a lot of the statistics related to diversity, and honestly, if this country was functioning the way that people said it is, those things wouldn't be necessary. But the meritocracy that the folks up in the cabinet are desiring wanted things to be by merit. There was a lot of favoritism when you was a white man. So everybody else kind of fell by the wayside because white men always believe that white men are the best people for the job or the best people for this position or that position. So we needed diversity, equity, and inclusion to include everybody. And again, the people who benefited most from that was white women.
Yeah.
I don't know how they don't know that. At least the ones who, voted against their own interests. It's just funny. Another thing that's funny to me is all these men want a meritocracy, but none of them are quite qualified to have the positions in the cabinets that they're obtaining.
That they have?
Yeah.
Is his cabinet?
His cabinet, like nobody in the cabinet is qualified.
Or administration, yeah. It's really crazy. And obviously you guys, as viewers and as people in our country right now, you're experiencing all of this mayhem that's happening. And some of it is honestly scary how it's happening. But we really wanted to get into how this can impact small businesses and some ways that we can make the best, of the situation as a small business. So this is very beneficial if you're already an entrepreneur, but if you're not an entrepreneur yet, this may be the time that you may want to start considering entrepreneurship, because we're hearing government is getting cut, this is getting cut, that's getting cut. So the stability,
and your job,
the job stability people thought they had in corporate or in government, public sector private sector is no longer there.
Yeah.
And so the stability, even though entrepreneurship is never stable, but there maybe is some predictability in entrepreneurship.
And I also think there's value to having more control over your earning opportunities. I think entrepreneurship lends that control, where somebody can't just take it from you.
In multiple streams of income.
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah, you can diversify and you can really do whatever you want within the bounds of the law. However, but the stuff that's happening, like even just seeing videos of people talking about, I logged in on Monday morning and I was locked out of my email account. Like, that's really scary stuff where your income is just kind of ripped from you. Yeah. We need to lift them in prayer, because I've seen a lot of videos that were really heart-wrenching. And so entrepreneurship does kind of give you a lot more control over things and allows you to kind of create strategies to diversify. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs I know that have government contracts, but they may also have some private contracts or, can say, okay, well, we need to pivot. So they have that same way autonomy to do that.
Yeah, same way like in, when the pandemic happened, most entrepreneurs had to make hard pivots, during it. But someone was asking me about just like, okay, with everything, with all the changes that are happening, what do we do as entrepreneurs? But every time there has been some catastrophic event or something that really has shaken up the nation or the world, there have been people who've found success within it. In the pandemic, the people who already had adapted to virtual learning and Zoom and stuff were able to, go that alley, and they were early adapters of it, which enabled them to get more business early too, because other people were taking more time to try and adapt everything because they were doing everything in person before. So there is, even though this time is scary, as I'll say again, there always is some light, in the darkness. So recently there has been a post going around, and I'm gonna read it on my IG. And it's coming up real soon, in the month of February now. So it says, Economic Blackout on February 28th, 2025. Take part and share the news. If you haven't heard, there will be an economic blackout February 28th nationwide. This means don't buy anything unless it's from a small business. No gas, no fast food, and definitely nothing from places like Target, Walmart, or Amazon. Get the word out. We want them to see that we have the power. We will start with 1 day, then 3, then specific companies until our message is heard. Please spread the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
My question to you is, how realistic is it for you, us, anybody to be able to do this? So if you were to do it, let's say you were doing a blackout for like a week, and I don't really know the specifications. I guess it's saying unless it's a small business. Where do you get your gas from?
You better plan it out. This is the thing, and I'm glad you asked that. I think when it comes to boycotting, the first thing, like when we look at history and we look at how boycotts worked in the past and when they were successful, there was an organization to it. There were people who were really orchestrating the best strategy to get the point across. If you don't plan ahead, you're not going to be able to get through the boycott, because I personally don't know any Black-owned gas stations. I don't know if that exists. I mean, I'm sure somewhere there has to be a Black-owned gas station.
And it's actually kind of sad to think about. Like, I never have thought about that before, but when I think about it, like the only thing I think about is like some of the smaller chains, but they still are chains.
They're still chains. So they might own like a part of the franchise, kind of like have a location, but like there's no Black people like, hey, we have oil or we have
what do we do? How do we get our gas?
I mean, like that's just
we would have to like
very tightly gate kept industry. And I think that applies to a few different industries where it's very difficult to buy Black in particular, or to just do a small business. I think a lot of corporations have been able to kind of run amok, kind of go push out more small businesses with a lot of deregulation that happened during the Reagan administration. So there was a lot of corporate deregulation, and it really allowed capitalism to thrive, to get to a point where there's a lot of exploitation, and small businesses are always going to suffer when you have these mega companies. Like when you see cities like I think New York maybe was one of the cities that are boycotting like Walmart. There's a lot of places that used to boycott Walmart supercenters coming because it would completely kill the small businesses in the area.
Did it work?
For some cities, I guess it depended on the power of the people. So I feel like in New York, there's enough high earners to be like, no, it's enough small businesses. Like if you go to New York City, like it's all mom and pop shops. There's not a lot of, you might see a Dwayne Reed or something. I don't think I've ever seen a Walmart in New York. Although I haven't lived in New York in decades, but I don't ever recall seeing a Walmart, at least not in the city.
Maybe, I was like, maybe
like
county,
in New York State, somewhere, but definitely not New York City. And I believe part of that was like a boycotting.
Oh, was it?
Or like,
I'm like, do they even have the room for it? But they found a room for Target and Brooklyn and whatever else. So yeah.
Yeah, listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I know that there have been cities.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right about New York City completely, but I know there are cities that specifically were like opting out of these huge box stores and these huge corporations coming in because it does impact the local commerce. This mega capitalist type of society, it's very difficult for small businesses to be in certain industries because they just can't compete with the prices. They can't compete. They can't get things in bulk the way that these huge corporations can.
Yeah.
So it's like they can't compete with pricing because, Walmart might be able to sell something for $3, but because I'm a small business and I can't order as much as they can, my cost is going to be higher. So it's like really tough for small businesses in this ecosystem, like having to always compete. And so what do we see the most small businesses in is probably like restaurants.
Yeah.
Because they can always do something better.
And I would say like products too, because like.
What do you mean products?
When I think of hair care products, I know some of them have gotten bought by, other companies.
But I think that's the specialization of like how special, the special needs of our hair in particular, because they were so ignored by the like mainstream public. Those small businesses could thrive because there was nobody trying to meet our needs.
Right, it worked for us. We tried another kind,
Head and
like
shoulders.
The mainstream, and it doesn't work.
Child.
I'm curious. So if you had a week of an economic blackout, let's say some random week, what would that look like for you? What would be the businesses?
I got way off topic.
Yeah, it's okay. But like, what businesses would you be
try
using?
To support?
Yeah. Just think of like the things that
the week before I would need to fill up on gas,
right?
Or get a tank and put it in the garage or something. Oh, my wrist.
Yeah, I don't think the gas buyout is realistic unless it's just like don't buy it from Exxon for a week or something. Like it's not
it's hard. It's not realistic with gas, but like with the other things. So let me think. Coffee, I would go to Adidas. It's just like a Ethiopian place.
Okay.
In Arlington.
Or make your own, probably.
Or make my own coffee. But I would have to get the coffees from somewhere, which typically I get from Amazon, so that's a no. Although I might be able to get it. Yeah, no. The coffee that I drink is from Amazon.
So you would go to a black-owned
I would go to a black-owned
coffee
shop or, to eat out or restaurants. I think for household items, I know that there are black-owned places for household items. It just costs more.
Like
it costs a lot more. Toilet paper, water, paper products in general. And I've seen like
sounding so difficult.
I've seen websites that like show like I know there's been a couple of different people I've seen online that are starting to build out lists of places that you can go. I know actually what's Jamal Bryant's church? I don't know what his church name is, but I saw a clip of his church talking about the blackout and that they've compiled a list of Black-owned businesses where you can get like everyday items from. Food, grocery. I wonder if like the Asian food store, who's that owned by? I don't know.
Right. I don't know. Maybe Asians. Yeah. So maybe if you're able to go to
or Costco, because Costco has doubled down on DEI, and maybe that's a good place to go instead of Costco is an option because Costco kind of doubled down on DEI, so maybe that's where we can go.
That's a big help
to get things.
Like if we're saying we could go to Costco.
Can we go to Costco? It says small businesses though. I
know they're not a small business, but like economic buyout. I don't know. Like Who does it benefit if we were to
not go to Costco? Well, I think what they're trying to show is the impact of our dollars. So
okay.
I think what it is listen, we care about where our money goes and we care about how we're treated, and we have the power to not opt in to your store or whatever if you choose to treat certain people a certain type of way.
Right.
And obviously black people always at the brunt, getting the brunt of everything, like, oh, we don't want black people to have nothing in this country.
Right.
So the only way that they can feel it is through their pockets, because they don't really care about, I don't want to say they don't care about us being in the streets yelling and screaming and bringing awareness to it. I just don't think that they care about that.
Yeah.
Like if we're marching down the street and we have a lot of news coverage, like, I don't know if Walmart cares. But if we're
and
not
what are we
spending
saying?
money,
We're marching saying bring back DI? Like, what are we marching about?
I think we're marching for equality more so than, and what DEI brought in real life and not in this fake mega reality that they're creating.
Yeah.
Is they're not hiring people who aren't qualified. They're hiring people who are qualified who are typically overlooked. So it's like giving opportunities to people who typically don't get the opportunity to work in this position or you know, get promoted to this or that. The biggest message is that they would hear is if their bottom line suffers.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
They only see money. They see green. I mean, that's the impact they're trying to make with these boycotts, because we can yell and scream to the top of our lungs and we can be in the street and it really doesn't impact them in any way. They don't care.
And, you know, black people in general were like some of the biggest consumers of like these type of stores and of shopping and whatever else.
When it started being called Target, you know that Negro said that first. So like it was ours.
Yeah.
We claimed it. Everybody loved Target. You know, if you're not going to support our communities, this is supporting our livelihood. Being able to work supports the economics of our community.
Right.
And you saying that you do not opt in to ensure that everyone has equity is super problematic for me. It is. What has me in a chokehold is Amazon. I'm not going to lie. Our family shares the Amazon Prime account, and there's an order going through multiple times a day.
Every single day?
I mean, it depends on what's going on. Like, if we're talking about we're having, let's say we threw a baby shower. Yes, multiple times a day. If it's just normal, nothing is going on, every couple of days probably. I know I have subscriptions from Amazon and I have to cut off and get used to that, used to not doing that. But it's like we have to make the sacrifice to see change. Yeah. If we think about the Montgomery bus boycotts, them people didn't want to walk to work uphill.
Right.
I'll get out of breath and so sweaty up going to work. You know, like walking uphill. Like, could you imagine having to sit in your office all day? Or, you know, there were a lot of domestics back then that were walking to work. And then you have to clean someone's house after walking however many miles, because they refused to get on the bus, and they knew how much the bus company would be impacted if we weren't on the bus, because we were significant customers.
Right. And even worse is they work a full day at work and then
gotta
they still
walk home.
back. Ooh.
Or, you know, they started carpooling. If somebody got a car, everybody come together. Yeah. You know, there were a lot of sacrifices to be made to get our point across, and it worked. And I think that brings me to my question to you about specifically the conversation surrounding Target and the Black entrepreneurs that are in those stores. So, like, we heard in particular loud voices from, like, the owner of Lit Bar and Tabitha Brown. The owner of Lit Bar named Melissa Butler. And they actually had they were similar messages but different messages. So Melissa's
Love
message.
Me some Lit Bar.
Oh, I'm wearing Lit Bar too.
We love Lit Bar.
You know, she came out with that HBCU line.
She's, you know, she's black and she's creating colors for us. And
she is.
They're good at marketing because they be coming out with something. I'm like, yes, I need that. And then they're like, put these two colors together and then have an ombre. I'm like, yes, need both colors.
Yes. So good. Go Melissa. But Melissa's message was, where it was similar to Tabitha's, was, hey, y'all, don't forget about us black people in Target. However, Melissa kind of was like, but I understand if y'all want to boycott, that's fine. our website is here.
Right.
She has both available to her.
Right.
Whereas,
and she had a long period of time. Like Melissa has been doing this business for a while, and she's been pushing it. She was on Shark Tank, didn't get any offers and stuff, and they didn't think that she could be successful.
Niche on Shark Tank? Like, what was her pitch?
Vegan makeup. Vegan and cruelty-free makeup. So I think the vegan part was like a newer concept when she was coming out. Yeah,
gotcha.
With it, but she has had to push herself because she hasn't had the support of these venture capitalists that are usually of a beige,
beige
color.
Persuasion from the Caucasoid Mountains.
So that actually is probably helping her now that she had an infrastructure where she could sell direct to consumers.
Yeah. And so she's built that up really well, and I think was able to use that success to get herself into Target.
Yeah.
But she's been there for a really long time. I think she said 2017 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Or was it 2019?
Maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah. So
versus Tabitha, who I actually saw her speak live at a conference I went to a year or two ago. Tabitha, I think, created her lines once she got contracts. So she got a food contract, had a seasoning that came out, got a Target contract, had the clothing line. So it's like she used these bigger corporations to actually even start that part of her business.
Yeah. So I think their contracts look very different. And Tabitha mentioned that she has connections to Target and Walmart, where like Target has some of her collections related to hair care and cookware, whereas Walmart has the seasonings and some other stuff. So I haven't looked to see if she had a website. Actually, maybe we should do that research. But
Tabitha.
I don't believe
I don't think she's able
to sell.
Yeah, I don't think she's selling
outside
any of it
of
online.
these
I'll look right
places.
now. But I don't think she's able to sell it.
And listening to her.
I'm sure you're enjoying this episode, but we wanted to quickly pop in to let you know about the cool swag we're wearing today. AMW Apparel is a line of inspirational and entrepreneurial clothing for those looking to stand out and make a statement to their following. We provide comfortable and high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops, and more. Enter code 2mics2glasses, which is the number 2, MICS, the number 2 again, GLASSES, with no spaces, for 10% off your first order at shopwithamw.com. Link in the description. We appreciate your support.
Listening to her talk, I was just, it's widely available on social media, on YouTube, wherever you find your news. But, Tabitha talked for a good 10 minutes or so about some of her limitations as a small business owner that was able to enter into Target or enter into business with these huge big box stores. She was mentioning the difficulty not only with, one, she's bound into contracts for like another year or two, which is something that she likely can't negotiate her way out of, especially in light of what's going on.
And I'm on her site now. All I see is apparel, but I'm going to keep looking.
And then, two, she was actually very concerned with the cost of warehousing, the cost of actually having to deal with the distribution and logistics of having an online store where you still have to ship things by yourself. Although, making use of drop shipping is an avenue, but that costs money too. So I think she was very concerned with being like, even if I was able to get out of this contract with Target and Walmart, where am I gonna put all this stuff? It ain't gonna go in my garage. It's thousands and thousands of items, and I don't know how many stores she's in, but I'm assuming she's in quite a few, at least 100 stores, I'm assuming. And so thousands of items that she would have to now warehouse to get out. So it's like, from an economic perspective, I can completely see her
business mind
and her opinion to be like, y'all, don't stop shopping at Target. Just come to Target and shop my stuff. Now,
is that what she said? Like,
I feel like that was the bottom line. Like, don't. But this was her argument though. she was saying if you stop shopping if black people start coming to Target, then the majority of people who buy from the black owned businesses in Target, they'll take away that customer base from those businesses, which means that those particular brands will suffer more than everything else in the store. And so
that does make sense, like as a business owner and stuff.
And then Target will assess that and be like, okay, well, we're going to kick you out the store.
Yeah. This is a deeper discussion, which I think is more related to corporate partnerships and building a business around having a corporate partnership versus doing it yourself, or a model kind of like Melissa's, where she has her own website, she has her own infrastructure, she has her own warehouse, which I've heard about, and she keeps expanding her line of beauty and now face and skincare products. But she also is, I think her warehouse is supplying the Targets and anywhere else that she is. Yeah.
And that's like, I think that's similar to, and this person is not in Target, but they were in Ulta. But Melanin Hair Care, I remember, had like a huge... Melanin Hair Care is a hair care line made by the YouTuber Natural85, who basically taught me how to do my natural hair. So thank you, girl.
Natural hair guru.
She's
like one of the first.
Yeah, her name is Whitney. And I just appreciate that she actually kind of inspired me to start making my own products, which birthed Purely Perfect Hair. But she also really taught me a lot about natural curls, and like her hair always looked a certain way, so I would try to do things she did. My hair never turned out like that, but it helped me to realize like the huge nuances, because I feel like our curls looked similar, but then they didn't act the same. So anyway, that was a huge digression. But she has product line that she came out with. It's, to me, fantastic products, but she had a lot of issues with her being able to meet, have the warehouse and things, and a lot of supply chain fulfillment issues. And so having to rebuild that warehouse, and that
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, because she's shipping to Ulta, Sephora, different places, and their contract comes first. So when you decide to partner, they come first. But let's say that she lost all of those, it would be a huge hit to her bottom line, but she still has a warehouse, she still has this infrastructure that can go. And I feel like Melissa's in the same boat, but Tabitha isn't. Whereas Tabitha, you can only get her stuff at these places exclusively.
Yeah. I think the difference with Tabitha too is she was able to get people to buy into her. So she's really the brand. Like these things are just kind of spin-offs of her brand.
Donna's Recipe.
But it's really like her. So she's basically sold herself, really. I mean, she's not a sellout or anything.
But you don't think her stuff is good?
No, I'm not saying it's not good, but I'm saying that like a lot of us are buying it because it's Tabitha Brown. We're not necessarily buying it because it's just a good product, because it takes a lot more marketing, takes a lot more advertising. Yeah. I do feel like
Lip Bar, we didn't really know who Melissa was.
And I still forget her name sometimes, or whatever, but like, we're buying it because there's good products and it's working well for us and stuff, which is actually probably harder to do, to build your product up, build a brand big enough that like people are just buying it because they like the products versus buying into you first.
Right. And so Tabitha was a personality that they bought into.
And I think when you sell yourself as a personality, you have to be careful, because how much of yourself are you selling? Are you really selling now? Who are you selling yourself to? Did she sell herself to those corporations, and now she can't have any intellectual property of her own, and they own her brand? Like that's what it feels like.
She comes up with has to go in one of these stores.
Yeah. And who knows the contract she's in?
I mean, that's a good question. Did she sell herself to these stores? Because my thought is, looking at her statement, I personally, and I've actually talked to a lot of people who disagree, so I understand if not everyone disagrees, but I personally believe that her take on that was somewhat of a sellout in itself, because I understand, like, we understand her predicament. She's in a spot where if she loses out on this, she's going to lose a lot of her income. Although it seems like she has multiple streams, definitely, of income. Like, she's not hurting, but this will hurt her. But it takes me back again to Montgomery, because they had to sacrifice. Like, to me, it's not an effective boycott if we go to Target just to buy your stuff. We're still paying Target.
Yeah.
And in the same breath, how is that going to make actual change? Like, how are we going to actually make a huge impact if we're still walking
all
through
these
the doors?
exceptions.
Yeah, with exceptions.
We both boycotted, but
Also,
and
how often have you gone to Target and just got one thing?
hardly ever.
Never.
I also have gone to Target looking for her line and didn't see it. But that's
Well, there
another.
it is. It might be sold out.
Story. I don't know.
And
I
then
didn't
you in
even
Target
see a
and you
display.
like, well, you know, I need some toothpaste, so let me go ahead and get that.
Yeah.
So it's like
I was just in Target 2 days ago. Because they got it all. I got a beverage dispenser and I got the beverages.
Dang. I thought you went to Costco.
I went to Costco too.
Oh, well, you know. I mean, it's very accessible. It's easy.
Costco was trying to sell a 6-pack of the big old multi-liter Cokes. I was like, I don't need 6 of these.
You can never get like a little bit. Right? But that will kind of feed into what we will talk about later. But, you know, sharing. But I think like, I honestly didn't think that was a good look. It wasn't a good take. And I love Tab. I do like Tabitha Brown. I mean, I'm not like a huge fan where I know everything about her, but overall, she seems to have a really positive persona.
Like what she represents.
Yeah, like she's a beautiful woman with a beautiful family, and she's, you know, retired her husband. She's an entrepreneur. She's been able to really build and have a mostly positive impact on our community. She's, you know, pretty benign, but like trying to explain to people of lower income levels that us boycotting someone who doesn't have our best interests at heart is going to impact your bottom line is just not a good take, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
I think she's just not ready for the hit that she will have to incur
you never
when
know
this stuff is happening. Because, you know, she's basically like, when you're boycotting them, you're boycotting me, but I'm Black. Like, you shouldn't be boycotting me.
Honestly, I think she's also representing the other maybe hundreds of Black-owned companies that have contracts with Target too.
But I think she's one, because she was able to sell herself, because really they're like, Tabitha, we love you. Would you be interested in having a clothing line? You know, these other companies, I don't think they had that luxury. Yeah, so they probably have some level of infrastructure where they're selling things on their own website as well.
I hope so. But I also feel like her stepping up and talking like this is like, how much of this is Target and how much of this is what you actually think? I personally don't know her and her content well enough to decipher if she would kind of speak on behalf of the corporation. Like, she's caping for the corporation a little bit. And it's like, to me, it wasn't a good look. It just was giving real ick to me. Like, girl, you the ops. Like, we're trying to boycott an already difficult place to boycott. Right. And you, with your lovely face and smile and Southern accent, are lulling us back and dividing us from this, you know, potentially large impact activity.
Yeah,
so it's like,
if we're gonna do a demonstration, we have to
be
get
everybody.
Most of us to, you know, it's hard to have everybody, but the majority of us need to get on board, which I think has been our challenge as a people for years.
Yeah.
So already having people speaking out this early that are trying to divide while like basically also trying to be about the people, you know, it's like almost like a mask, because she's like, support me, but she's really doing something that's pulling us away from organizing together to make an impact in the community. So exactly.
And so that's why I was like,
and she's still gonna have, even if we didn't shop her anymore because we weren't shopping Target or for whatever period of time, she's still gonna be rich. I think.
No.
You don't think she'll be rich no more?
I mean, I seemed like she was doing well prior to this deal, but if she has let go of other things to build this and like kind of, again, the word diversified, so she may have lowered her diversification of income to put her energy toward these projects with these stores. You know, it's possible that she can take a bigger hit, but at the end of the day, she did build herself up to be a brand prior to these stores. Yeah. She's probably a bigger name now because her face is plastered all over them, but maybe that's to your advantage where you're able to say, I was in Target, I was in Walmart, right, and I divested and decided to build my own thing. I think Black people would flock to her.
Yeah, and that goes back to the pivot. Like when things are changing in the economy, are you adapting to it? Are you pivoting? Like, how can you use it to your advantage? And she is not using it to her advantage. She's trying to stop what the movement is of what we can come, instead of devising a plan of how she could still stay relevant while getting on board of this. She could be a face to, you know, lead this demonstration of us not supporting these brands. Like, she could make a bigger impact. I don't know how it will necessarily impact her pockets, but I think if she's able to do it right, which she already is not starting right, because she already publicly has said whatever. So, and you've listened, and millions of other people probably heard it too. But there has to be another way.
Playing devil's advocate to my own point. She may also pay a lot of people, you know, like she might have teams under her whose livelihoods are dependent on her success. So she might have more pressure than just her own survival. I think she would be fine, but she could be thinking about, you know, people that she employs that she would no longer be able to employ.
I can understand that, but that's why I'm saying in every disaster, whatever, there's always an opportunity somewhere. So if I were in her position, I know she has a lot on her plate. I know she's paying a lot of people. I know she's supporting her family and probably even more than that. But I would think about, what are ways that I can still, you know, benefit and grow my brand? Because she's still going to be making money from social media. Like, she gets a lot of views. So she has a lot of different ways she's making money. But
I wonder if working with Target and Walmart made her have to drop her other sponsorships.
Maybe. But I think it really comes down to your personal morals and values. I do. Because, like, you know, there just comes a time sometimes. Like, if I were her, I would either been quiet if I'm not going to do nothing or whatever. Like, I would have been quiet. You know, people would have still probably been shopping my stuff. I just would have been hush. Like, yes, it sucks. D.I. Oh, man. You know, like, I would have been, you know.
But you don't think that question would have been asked, like, girl, you in Target, so what you doing?
Politician it. You know, they just, like, go all around the exact question, and she would have figured out an answer. Like, I would have either done that, or I would have tried to think of, how can I still economically benefit in this current state of America? Like, as a Black woman, because she has positioned herself as a stand-up Black woman with the Black family and the afro. You know, she's been for us, we thought. Or whatever. So what is something, how can she continue to benefit from it without selling out, or without, you know?
Like, and that is a tough position to be in. So, like, as critical of her as I am, as critical of that statement as I am, I still think it was a really bad look. I can really take in and understand her position. It's not easy.
Tough,
It is not easy. But if I think about the leaders of our past, though, they gave their lives. They gave up time with their families.
Money.
They gave up money. They gave, you know, they were hunted by the FBI. You know, they gave up security. A lot of times they gave up their peace to get us to a place.
It's a lot to give up.
It's a lot. And it's hard to expect that from people, but to whom much is given, much is required, I think. And she's been quite blessed.
Which is a platform.
Right. And so when you're given this platform and you're given this opportunity to really kind of speak out about right and wrong, you know, I'm not saying it's an easy position or easy take by any means, especially when there's more than just you on the line. It's a kind of a part of growing and protest and getting, you know, fighting the power, fighting off those people who really don't want what's best for the country and as a whole. It's tough. It's really, really, really tough. But I think in this time of difficulty, we need to kind of figure out ways to unite and work together to get through these really difficult times that are ahead. And so I wanted to talk to you about, like, what are your thoughts and some things that we as individuals, as people, can do to support each other while the crazies are over. You can't fight crazy.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like they're working as hard as possible to defund and dismantle things that are specifically helping. Honestly, it's helping most of the Trump supporters. But it is dismantling social systems that all of us at some point probably have taken part in.
Yeah.
You know, I had to get my breast pump early, honey, because I didn't know what was going to happen with the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare.
And I'm luckily have a birth control that can last up to 10 years. And if I didn't, I would have tried to get it in real quick before all this
stuff is happening, because who
right.
knows what's going to happen
Crazy.
with free birth control or Planned Parenthood. Like all these are all things that are federally funded. You know, Title I schools, they're trying to dismantle the Department of Education. They're attacking the FDA and the EPA, like the environment, our food. Like all of these
Travel.
things could be impacted. So how can we like bond and join together to kind of like minimize the brunt of these changes?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's not realistic to be able to do like a full-on blackout where we are not going to be using all of these different, you know, corporate brands for extended period of time. Because just from our initial conversation, we said, how you even get gas? Like, we still have to drive. But I think that supporting other small businesses, like really coming together to be very intentional about supporting the different small businesses, I think is a good step. And I think that we could organize enough to have a period of time where we are boycotting or whatever certain brands. So if it's going to be Target is a really hard one, but maybe there's some others that wouldn't be as hard. Like,
I mean, the issue is that these corporations that are denouncing DEI are kind of ingrained into our everyday lives. So
yeah.
Amazon,
And most of them are huge.
Amazon, Target, Walmart, some of the biggest corporations in the world.
Yeah.
It is going to be difficult. From my perspective, I'm kind of think like, for example, if you have a circle in your bubble and your support system, we have a friend who's starting a farm, and if we can't trust the food in the grocery store because the FDA is not, you know, controlling what corporations are putting on the shelves for our best interest.
We just don't want to support that corporation.
Or we don't want to support
general,
it.
you know,
you
because
know,
of
her
XYZ.
farm is available to us to, we will be vegetarian, but her farm is available to us to have agreements where we're getting a portion, like almost like community farming, where we're pouring in money, and that's a small business and kind of strengthening economic development of that area or this area by funding her farm and making sure that she's able to continue to provide us crops. So that we're eating naturally, we're eating organic, but we're also like supporting the small business. How can others do that? I know I'm on the board of a nonprofit called City Blossoms that teach kids how to garden, and they have all these different programs and all these community gardens. How do we partner with like City Blossoms or fund City Blossoms and other organizations like it to get food and to deal with food insecurities and
crazy prices
all these,
with eggs and everything that's going on.
Yeah, like if we have different farms that we can get into, or like farms are small businesses, and some of them are not like tied to these huge grocery stores. Some of them have their own market and their own commerce that they're, you know, providing eggs, providing things. Like, I think it's up to us to kind of familiarize ourselves with the opportunities on that level to continue. And that's just one solution to one problem.
But when you're saying that applies, it can apply to milk as well. It can apply to eggs, and it could apply to different meats. Because I remember I was going to do like some subscription service from a local farm for fresh meat, like, you know, grass-fed, whatever else they said. But I'm sure there are local farms in almost every community, and if not in your immediate community, within a 50 to 100 mile radius.
Which is difficult, but it's a part of the process.
Yeah, like, it just takes research. So hopefully it would be closer than that. But they may also have different solutions where they could come to you and bring whatever to you. So I think if we think about the daily things that we're doing, that we're consuming, and doing some research about, is there another place that we can order it? And you can, most of these places you can find online or on Google, doing some research about how to support it. And yes, it may be a little bit more expensive, but like, you're supporting a local business, which is supporting your community, is supporting people, Black people and people of color as a whole. It's supporting small business. It's, you know, it's bigger than just saving a few dollars, you know?
Yeah. And in these times, we hope that our decisions in this time can be a change so that we don't always have to operate this way.
Right.
But, you know, you never know. Another thing I would say is like, you know, they're tracking education. Who knows what that means for different schools that
Right,
are
maybe it's
almost all
homeschooling.
schools are getting, a lot of schools are getting federal funding. Like a majority of a lot of public schools. I mean, if you're not private, you're probably getting some sort of funding from the federal government. If you know a teacher, if you want to start homeschooling, if you want to create these pods for yourself from your network, if you know a doctor who understands like what we need for our bodies and how we will still be able to get what we need for our bodies, how we can still protect ourselves, how do we create communities with the doctors, and you know, like if we don't have access to vaccines anymore, or like the worst case scenario is happening, I'm like, how do we protect ourselves from like some of the things that are happening with the current administration? And how do we protect our peace whilst they really work to wreck the things that have been allowing us to live comfortably for, you know, so long in this country and are protecting us?
I would say at the bare minimum, just try and support Black business or Black people that are employed, you know. So if you, right now, you have a person who does your taxes and they are not, you know, of your race or of, you know, like you can think
or
about,
they don't support,
right,
or I don't want to say like let's just cut off white people,
but I don't think we should cut them off, but I think that it will be helpful for us to organize in a fashion where we're better supporting Black people and Black
of
people
color
in business and
or
people
minorities.
of color. Yeah, sorry, I'm just saying Black because we Black, but really just ethnic communities in general because everybody is getting impacted.
Everybody's
right
impacted
now.
by it, and in different, very different ways, you know. So, child, that was a lot.
Yeah,
but I think
it feels kind of good to get it off your chest.
I know. Ultimately, I think we really need to stick together and build tribes around us. I think something that has been lost in our community is collectivism, and I wouldn't even say just the Black community. I would say overall is collectivism. We have become very individualized. They said it takes a village to raise a child because we had a huge sense of community at some point that really allowed us to help each other build. Even when we were segregated, we could see in segregation that Black communities were able to build strength and build businesses and support each other's families. And I think kind of bringing back that concept, not segregation, but the collectivism of working together to build things together to ensure that we can, each one help one, each one teach one, can put us in a much better place than just trying to do everything by yourself. I saw this with Fred Hampton. You know, they were trying to build hospitals. They were trying to build, you know, places for kids to come and get food. They had like, lunch programs or food programs. They were building things in the community that was difficult for outsiders to come in and take away. And I think if we kind of try to pivot back to that mindset where we can work collectively to build collectively and to sustain ourselves together, you know, we may not be impacted as harshly by people who are just trying to strip us of basic rights.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is very idealistic of me to say, but I honestly think that's kind of like one of the best remedies of capitalism and of people in government kind of running amok. So
amen to that.
So cheers to collectivism.
Collectivism. Okay, I like that.
Ciao.
Cheers.